Hello there, welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm attorney Kelly Longtin, founder of Kelly Longtin Law, and today I want to talk to you about 4 things your spouse should know before you die. Now, it's normal for married couples to share almost every aspect of their lives with each other, but when it comes to death, even the closest couples might become tight-lipped about certain topics. Accordingly to one study, half of all couples fail to discuss their dying wishes. Now, death is final for the departed. For the surviving spouse, death can leave a lot of unanswered questions. As uncomfortable as it might be to discuss subjects like burial arrangements and remarriage, they should be broached as part of creating a comprehensive estate plan. Seemingly mundane details, such as the location of important documents and contact information, should also be addressed. You want to share the location of important documents with your spouse. Now, older couples, they tend to mingle their finances. Among baby boomers, having only joint accounts is the norm. Millennials and Generation Z couples, however, are more likely to keep their money separate. When couples do have joint accounts and property, it is not uncommon for one spouse to handle all of the financial matters. Fewer than 1 in 4 couples report that both spouses have an equal role in managing household finances. When one spouse is the money person in the relationship, it can create issues in both life and death. To avoid unnecessary stress, couples need to ensure that they are on the same page. For day-to-day finances, this can mean regular check-ins about charges, expenditures, and budgeting. With regard to estate planning, couples should keep each other informed about the location of important documents, such as estate planning documents, life insurance paperwork, loan documents, financial information, meaning savings and retirement and investment accounts, and also all of the usernames and passwords and any other information necessary for accessing those digital accounts. Now, keeping finances secret and separate, although it may be legal under state law, can still raise estate planning issues between couples that deserve a discussion. A spouse with separate accounts and property might have separate accompanying estate planning documents as well. If so, the other spouse should at least be in the know about them so that they can facilitate the estate administration after the death of their loved one. You also want to let your spouse know about the people that need to be contacted after you've passed away. Now, a spouse will often be the first person to find out about their partner's passing. After that, there may be an established priority of whom to contact next on a need-to-know basis. The surviving spouse is likely to have a good idea of who should be contacted and in more or less what order. It may not be particularly important whether an older sibling is informed before or after a younger sibling or vice versa. Yet it should not be assumed that a husband or a wife has access to these individuals' phone numbers. Nowadays, most contact information is stored in a personal device, not a Rolodex. To ensure that the information is accessible, it can be listed in a separate document. Alternatively, each spouse can give the other their phone's login credentials. Now, outside of immediate family and friends, a spouse could be unsure about whom to get in touch with. Extended family, a religious leader, club members, professional contacts, and if the deceased was still working, their employer may need to be contacted as well. Now, some people might be named in the will and require inheritance notifications. Now, keeping a spouse apprised of relationship statuses, whom to get in touch with, and how to get in touch with them about end-of-life wishes are small but very important estate planning tasks that need to be attended to. You also want to speak to your spouse about burial arrangements. So, arguably, the most morbid thought about death is what to do with someone's remains. At the same time, following a person's burial preferences is a way to ensure that they receive an appropriate send-off. More and more Americans are choosing to be cremated instead of having a traditional burial. Whichever someone chooses, the options are extremely personal. If cremated, a person may wish to have their ashes scattered in a favorite place. In the case of a burial, they may opt not to have an open casket. There are also natural burials, being buried without a casket, and funeral services without a body actually being present. About 20,000 people each year donate their bodies to science. Now, in some states, the surviving spouse has the primary authority to make these decisions, absent specific instructions by the deceased. So as unpleasant as it can be to discuss burial or cremation or donation, doing so can offer the departed and the surviving spouse peace of mind, knowing that most personal of decisions are actually being honored for the person who's passed. So let's talk about remarriage. Now, wedding vows famously contain the phrase, "till death do us part." But what about after your spouse has passed? Are couples still obligated to obey that promise of fidelity? Whether approaching this question from a religious or a secular perspective, it is generally accepted that a widowed spouse is not doing anything wrong by remarrying. Depending on their age and their history and their beliefs, though, some people may have very, very strong feelings about remarriage. Nowadays, when more than half of marriages end in divorce, the idea that a bereaved spouse should not remarry is very antiquated. Remarriage rates, however, have declined in recent decades. They decline with age for both men and women and are significantly lower after bereavement than they are after a divorce. Now, a spouse who predeceases their partner may be okay with remarriage, but not want the new spouse to have access to their money. Estate planning can help prevent this from happening. The use of a qualified terminal interest property or a Q-tip trust, for example, can provide for a surviving spouse while protecting the children's inheritance from the surviving spouse's new spouse that they may have at this point. If there's no children involved, or if one spouse simply trusts the other to do whatever they want with the money, even if it benefits the new spouse, special estate planning provisions might not actually be necessary. Now, regardless, marriage is a topic that is worth discussing. Couples may not be on the same page about remarrying, nor do they actually have to be. Couples that have separate finances, they're free to do with their share whatever it is that they want. One spouse could be okay with remarriage and do absolutely nothing, while the other is against remarriage and sets up a trust to protect their accounts and their property. The best thing you can do is show love through an estate plan. The optimist would argue that there's no worries after death. Once we depart this plane of existence, all of our worldly cares die with us. Now, putting aside the metaphysics of death from a practical perspective, our passing can create complications for those that we leave behind. Not having an estate plan takes the control over your accounts and property out of your family's hands and gives it to the state. But an incomplete plan can cause a lot of problems too. Small estate planning gaps can raise big questions that leave a person's legacy in doubt. It's never too late to revisit and update an estate plan while you're alive. But unresolved estate issues taken to the grave with you could come back to haunt all of your loved ones. Estate planning is a gift to your spouse and the best way to take care of them when you are no longer around. So I hope you found this beneficial. I thank you for watching our YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about estate planning and how it can benefit your family, please like and subscribe below. That's it for now. I'm attorney Kelly Longtin, founder of Kelly Longtin Law, where we provide effective estate planning for everyday families located in Massachusetts and New Hampshire.